You hear the words rethinking the dollar. When you first heard about rethinkingthedollar.com and I approached you with the opportunity to come on the show, what was the first thing went through your mind? Rethinking the
Well,
dollar.
I think that's a catchy name for a subject that people should understand because, as I said, we take money for granted. It's our environment. Like if you're on a computer and Microsoft Windows is just the environment. You take it for granted as the way the computer works. Well, money for most people right now is just the financial environment. We take it for granted that dollars and euros and yen, depending on where we are, will function the same way today and tomorrow and the day after as they have in the past. And unfortunately, we're making the classic mistakes that societies have made in the past to basically destroy their currency. And so this is, in one sense, nothing unusual what's going on right now. In history, ever since there have been markets and governments, there's been this incentive on the part of governments to get more money from somewhere. And the easiest way to get it is to make the currency worth less and less by creating more and more of it. And then if you're the government, you spend that currency first, you get the use of it. And then other people suffer the consequences when their savings go down in value because there's an oversupply of currency out there. Well, that's what we're doing, again, just like the Roman Empire did and a bunch of European countries have done and most of Latin America. These things have been happening over and over again throughout history, but today we're doing it on a global scale. Every major country is overextended. We've all set up either, in the case of the US, global military empires that we can't afford, or in the case of Europe, welfare and entitlement states that cost way more than we can pay for. And we're trying to pay these bills by creating a lot of new currency. And basic supply and demand says that the currency is going to get less and less valuable. And the end point in this process is when the currency stops functioning as currency. In other words, you can't use it to save anymore because it drops in value really quickly. So the savings you put away evaporate. And it's hard to transact. It's hard to use your money to buy stuff because people don't really want to sell you stuff if all you're going to give them is this currency that's worth less and less every day. And so societies, the financial side of societies, break down when this happens. There's a branch of economics called Austrian economics that everybody needs to understand because it's the only branch of economics that seems to get this. And they have a term for this point. It's called the crack-up boom. And that's the point where everybody loses faith in the currency, just gives up on it, and then bails. And so basically they rethink their currency as to use the term you came up with, and they decide that it's not what they thought it was, and that they don't want it anymore. And so they as soon as you get a paycheck, you turn it into real stuff. You buy something with it that you can actually use. So the price of real things, land and food, et cetera, go through the roof because everybody wants them at any price because they want to get out of their currencies. And that's what's coming at some point in the intermediate future, probably not next week, probably not next year, but not long after that. So we're at a kind of an inflection point in society where the things we used to count on are going to change big time.